Have you ever looked at someone who's built a massive empire and wondered, how do they actually make money? Jaclyn Johnson is the founder of Invest with Cherub and Create Cultivate. She's a serial entrepreneur and a woman who sold her company for $22 million and then bought it back.
I sold the business to private equity in 2021. I didn't work with anyone on the team. I would go to the events and the team would have no idea who I was. It is a weird experience.
She's taken risks. She's made the boldest moves that very few entrepreneurs would even consider. If you're someone who's been questioning your next big leap, taking control of your business, or wanting to expand your income streams, then you need to hear this episode. Before we dive in, please hit follow on Spotify and YouTube and subscribe on Apple Podcasts because we are currently in New York and we have so many incredible guests coming up. You will not want to miss it. Let's dive in. Jaclyn Johnson, welcome to Unstoppable Success.
I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time coming.
Oh my gosh. We were just talking how it feels like I've already met you, already known you, but we're finally here in person.
Yes.
In New York, of all places.
I know, right? How did we both end up here out of all the places? I love it.
Something about New York just draws me in every time.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I feel like anytime I'm in Europe, I'm always like, oh, have you been to the United States? And everyone's like, no, where do you want to go? And I'm always like, I would go to New York because I do think it's the most special city in the United States and the most representative from food, culture, art, music, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been fun being here.
Amazing. Well, we have something exciting obviously coming up where you're flying out tomorrow. I'm heading out next week for the Create and Cultivate Fest.
Yes, we're all descending on Los Angeles.
What made you decide? Have you ever run an event of that size?
So we the Create and Cultivate events at their largest have been about 2,000 people, but we've always just had two stages and we've really just focused on small business and entrepreneurship. The festival is different in a few different ways. One is there's 4 stages. They all focus on completely different topics. So you have your creator compound, which is all content and marketing. You have your small business stage, which is everything entrepreneurship. Test kitchen, which is food and beverage and really just kind of a learning area. And center court, which is women in sports, both athletes, managers, all sorts of things. So we have 4 different stages.
I haven't seen anyone do, maybe I'm just not in that world, but I haven't seen women really highlight the women in sport in that kind of arena.
Yeah, it's definitely becoming more popular, I would say. So there's definitely been a real uptick, I think, in interest, both on the fan side, the player side, and just the interest of working in sports in general. So we're really excited to kind of tap into that topic. And then also we have a musical performance. So we've never done anything like that. So we'll have Doechii perform. Also, it's 2 days. Typically a Create and Cultivate is 1 day. So it's 2 days, technically 3 days if you count Supper Club, which we were just chatting about, which is our sort of invite only networking dinner. There'll be 100 women there. So it's going to be a lot, but it's going to be really fun.
How are your stress levels?
Pretty high, but but in a good way. I mean, I would definitely say I feel really, the beauty of this event is we've been planning it for over a year. So it's not something oftentimes with events, I feel like there's always just a last minute scramble. I feel like with this one, we haven't really had that so much just because it's been in the pipeline for so long and we really booked so far in advance. And so I think we're feeling really good. We actually, my only other thing I'm doing today besides this podcast is a 2-hour all hands meeting to go through all the different things.
Amazing. Oh, how good. That is the dream because I know events are another level and I definitely haven't organized an event to that scale, so I could only imagine. What have you found has been helpful? Has it been building out the team to support with that? How do you make that possible at that scale? Yeah,
totally. Definitely team is huge. I think also for this one we did work with an external agency just because when Marina and I had bought out the company, we were first starting out, we were hiring pretty slow, in terms of trying to figure out where the direction we wanted to go in. And with a festival of something of this size, you don't want to hire 10 producers full time and then when the festival's over it's what are they working on? But you also don't necessarily want a bunch of freelancers who aren't invested. So we decided to work with this agency that's been really great and really integrated into our team. We do have an in-house producer that's liaising with them, so we all are in the know and things like that. So they've really acted like an extension of our team. But I would say also just it's really nice because Marina's coming into this very fresh, so her ideas are very different and exciting, whereas I'm coming into this with like 10 years of doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm like the negative Nancy, I feel like, in every meeting, where I'm like, well, you gotta be careful of that, and like, what if the fire marshal thinks about this, and what about these lines, and like whatever it might be. And she's just like, what if we did the biggest, like, you know, like, so it's nice to have both
for sure.
sides of the coin of like, you know, really excited and big vision, and then me being like, bring it down to earth and like getting nervous about everything. Yeah. So I think that's been a good balance.
It's almost like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
Totally. Yeah.
You need both.
100%. 100%.
Oh, so good. What kind of role does the agency play? Are they helping with the scheduling, the guests?
Yeah. So we do all the guest and programming in-house. So that's something that like we've always done. Like we'll write all the scripts, like all of that kind of stuff. They are really focused on production, like just the really annoying logistical items.
Yeah.
Creative, we work, you know, in collaboration with them of like the look, the feel, what we wanted. We decided the branding itself, you know, we've obviously all done in-house, and it's like really fun. And so we wanted the branding of the website and the social content to live with the event on, you know, in real life. So it's a lot of color blocking, a lot of bright colors, really beautiful, lots of Instagrammable moments, lots of installations, but also like lots of brands bringing in cool activations and pop-ups and things like that. So we're super excited about what it's all going to look like. Oh, also another thing that's very different that I think is really cool that I don't know if you've been able to check out yet, but is Connect.
Yeah.
So it's basically our proprietary app that you go on and basically can connect with other attendees based on interest. So, you know, marketing or motherhood or, you know, whatever you might be into, and you can set up these 15-minute meetings. And so LinkedIn is presenting that. It's a full garden with, you know, all these tables that you get to do these like 15-minute meetings with and connect online. And so that's something that's new and different too, where it's really like networking at scale.
Yeah, I'm excited because I have set up my profile and I've had some people reach out, which has been so good. I've been running around, so I need to get back to all of them. But yeah, I'm excited. I think that's really awesome because sometimes you go to the events and you're kind of judging a book by its cover or you have no idea what someone does, and there's no way you can ask 2,000 people what they do, what they're passionate about. So that is really cool.
Yeah, and I just feel like sometimes, I mean, one thing that I love about Create and Cultivate is that people come by themselves a lot. So you're coming by yourself, you want to meet people, but then it's like always kind of awkward to be like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. And like we do set out a time for networking, whether it's like a cocktail hour or whatever, but this is like more strategic networking. So you can go, you can meet with investors, you can meet with small business owners, like whatever it is, and kind of like get these really intentional meetings on the books.
Yeah. So good. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's going to feel like Disneyland. I feel like.
I mean, truly, I feel like it is going to be Disneyland.
Yeah. For entrepreneurs.
Yes. For female
entrepreneurs. Creators, everything. So obviously you were at the forefront of building community, and truly I think the importance of community just continues to exponentially increase because in the age of AI, in the age of everyone sounds the damn same, I think to truly succeed in business, everyone needs community, no matter what kind of business you have. And everyone needs experiential opportunities, whether it's events, whether it's stores, whatever it might be. I truly think those are the two things. And you are at the forefront of that. Obviously, building community looks a little bit different these days. What advice would you have to someone who's maybe starting to build a community now in terms of, you know, if they want to sell out 2,000 tickets, that is probably a lot community-led as well. Everyone's bringing their friends. Or if they want to create those connections, what advice would you have?
Yeah, it's definitely different than when I started. I think now what I would suggest now is like a couple different things. One is niche down. What is the community really about? Like I've seen a few kind of pop up more recently where it's like one's about like female investment club, and all you talk about is like things you invest in, right? And like that's really like the focus for it. Or you know, like there's one where it's like best friends club, like you want to make new friends and do crafts together or whatever. Get super granular to like your city, your location, your need, your want, whatever it is, because I think that's what's going to set you apart versus like when we started, it was like women in business, and it was like there was nothing, so it was like everyone just gravitated towards it. Now it's obviously like a little bit different, and there's like so many niches and things like that. But I think the number one thing about community that everyone forgets is it takes a long time. It really takes a long time. It's really hard to do overnight. It's really about like a slow build and providing value. Like the number one thing I always said about Create and Cultivate is like we want to always be providing value, whether it's advice that we're giving, whether it's the experience that you're arriving to. the gift bag you get at the end of the event, like we're always providing value. And so like that person then feels compelled to tell someone else about it because they thought it was so worth it or so great or so whatever. And so for us, it was that combination of like word of mouth, Instagram, like kind of all coming together. But I think it's really like in today's day and age, like everyone, you know, I think like it was like the 2016 event or 2017 event. Everyone's like, oh my God, you guys made it. You guys blew up overnight. And I was like, I started this in 2011. Like this has been going on forever. So it is a slow burn, I think. And you can't really fake it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of people that are like, again, like if you're inputting your captions into chat GPT, like it's not going to work. Like you need to be like super authentic to the community. And like, you also need to know, like, I think the reason why Create and Cultivate worked so well was because I was a woman in business figuring it out. Yeah. Launching a company about women in business, figuring it out. So it was like, I knew the problems. I knew the audience intimately. I like knew the issues that they were facing. And so I think that's why it worked.
Did you used to share more of your personal startup journey when you were building?
No, because forward facing founders weren't a thing. And also I was just like, I was so like obsessed with like the experience and like the speakers and like getting the right people in the room, like, and also at the time I was like, who cares what I have to say, I'm figuring it out, I don't know if I have all the answers. So I think it was more about that for me than it was like telling my own story. When I started to like become more of a face and like my own story was around Work Party, like when I launched the book. And also because Sophia Amoruso had launched the Girl Boss Rally, and then Gwyneth Paltrow launched like Goop, and like all my partners in the business, and like, you know, they were all like, you have to get out there and tell your story because it's so fundamentally different than other people's stories, and like people want to hear from the founder. And so that's in 2017 I made like the shift into being more of like a forward facing person.
Wow. Do you think the best way to build community is with in-person events? Because I feel like there's still like even though online is amazing, I feel like there's still a wall. It's segmented.
In person is the only way to do it. And also I'll say this is like with AI, I think we'll more and more gravitate towards in person because I don't know, the internet's becoming like a tricky place. It's like there's just so much noise, there's so many people, like the idea of like influencers has like gone crazy, like everyone's an influencer and you don't know why or if their followers are real or if they're even real. Like it just feels like it's so hard to sift through and understand what's real and what's not real. And I think like the only way to do that is like in real life connection and actually opening your mouth and like getting in the room and putting yourself out there. Like I think that creates like authenticity in relationships.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, one more thing I want to ask you, because I think we live in this day and age where we have such an opportunity in that we can make money through so many different avenues. Whereas when our parents were growing up, there was probably like 10 options and everyone knew what a teacher did, everyone knew what a shopkeeper did. But these days I feel like there's so much opportunity, there's so much nuance. It's like, what do we even do, or how can you make money? And I think the more women can speak about money, the more it actually normalizes like, hey, maybe I can do it too. I always remember when I first heard of someone earning like even $20,000 in 1 month, I was like, oh my gosh, like that blew my mind because I was in such a corporate mindset of like, I'll take my $2,000 paycheck a month. So I want to know, like, how do you make money these days?
Well, it's like definitely less than how I made money like a while ago. But basically, I mean, there's all different ways. I make money through obviously Create and Cultivate. I, you know, have a salary there. I have money in the market. So I would say most of my money's in the market. So
in the stock market?
Stock market, yeah. I'm an angel investor. And so obviously if I get returns on those investments, I get paid for that. And then I do coaching. So I have like intro and mentorship and like one-on-one coaching as well. And I do that. Affiliate links on social media. That's definitely part of it. Speaking opportunities. Like just kind of a random brand deals on Instagram.
How good.
Yeah. All the things.
I honestly feel like we're also in the era of obviously events and experiences, but also personal brand. And I think to monetize a personal brand is endless
Yeah.
opportunities when you have a platform, when you have a message, when you have something that brands can align with. You can really monetize.
Yeah,
everything.
totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, creators, it's like interesting. It's like I have no desire to be like a true creator where it's like, you know, all day, every day, like you're like LTK and and like all the things. And I like, that's so much work. I think for me is like the idea of thought leadership is better. But I also like sharing my personal life, but I feel like my audience hates it when I share my, they're like, give us business advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, my business advice outperforms like any of my lifestyle stuff, which makes sense, obviously. But I'm like, but look at this cool thing I'm doing.
But I'm sure people are still like, oh, but I love your dress. Tell me where it's from.
I guess that's part of it too. But it's definitely like interesting time.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. With the angel investing, because I'm not across investments. I've always been self-funded.
Okay.
With angel investing, so people have their idea, whether they've started or not started, you invest in their business, and then is it decided on a percentage of profits or something like that?
No, so it's just like investing in, and okay, so for instance, like if I'm investing in a startup, let's just say I'm investing typically on a safe note, which means future equity. So when they do a priced round, so I'm getting it based on the valuation of the business.
Yes.
And so there's like a $10 million valuation, or if it, like you figure out your percentage of ownership based on that. If it's on a safe, it's like future equity. So when they do a priced round, that converts at whatever the valuation is at that time. So basically I'll always get the best valuation the earlier I invest. I mean, depending on how the company's performing. But yeah, so that's typically how it goes. But like I've had like 2 companies exit, and I've gotten, really good paydays from those. So that's been amazing. And so, but it's a long game. It's like 5 to 10 years typically for investment.
How do you know? Or how do you decide? Is there any key
it's
factors?
a real gamble, but
or?
I always invest in founders, first and foremost. I think for me, I'm like very founder focused, because I just know like they're the ones that are going to drive it to the finish line. But I'm invested in a lot of beauty. I'm in Crown Affair, Ceremonia, One Kind, Chill House. I also am in some tech. Like I'm an investor in Intro. I'm also on the platform, which I love. So, it's kind of, it's all over the place. Investor in an aloe liqueur called Churro.
Amazing.
It's fun. Yeah, exactly. But it is like, it's not like quick money if that's what you need.
If people are looking to become angel investors, how much do they need to?
So you should check out Cherub, investwithcherub.com. It's up to the founders to dictate, but we have some that are $2,500 investment. And so you can get in at like a pretty low level. I would say the typical check size is $10K. But depending, there's also SPVs, which are a great way to get involved. So those are typically very low investment levels, like sometimes $1,000.
Oh, okay.
And you can get in on that as well.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, isn't it great that you created a platform that makes it easy?
There you go.
Invest with Cherub. Okay, I want to talk about Create and Cultivate a little bit, but I don't want to go back to your startup story, because we covered that on our previous episode, which is awesome. But I want to understand, how do you sell your company and then buy it back?
Yeah, it's not a normal trajectory. So I sold the business, the majority stake of the business, to private equity in 2021. 6-7 months later, I stepped down. As CEO, I remained on the board. And so basically, like during those couple years, I really stepped away. I was on the board, obviously, but I was no longer day-to-day. I didn't work with anyone on the team. We had a CEO, etc. So
who was running it at that time?
So we brought on a CEO. She was amazing. Her name was Kate Spies. And a massive team. Like, it was like 25 people. But it's like funny, I would go to the events and like the team would have no idea who I was. It's like, it is a weird experience. But basically during that time period, it was like a weird time, right? Because it was like 2022, 2023. Events were like coming back. The company took I think a little bit of a turn more in like a wellness direction, and started focusing on that. Digital, redid the website, like, just revamping in a way. And during that time, like I did a bunch of other stuff. Like I went and ran a $20 million fund for a family office. I started a company called Cherub with my co-founder Angeline that focuses on connecting angel investors and entrepreneurs. I Started a wine line. I was just like doing all the things. Like, I bought a house in Napa. I was like figuring out like, what my life looked like sort of post Create and Cultivate, but obviously never like fully leaving the business in that way. So essentially like cut to end of 2023, I got a call from the board that was basically like, we're looking to sell the company. And that's normal for private equity, like to do a secondary sale. But what wasn't normal was how fast it was, I guess. Like usually it's like a lot longer before you do that. So I was a bit shocked. I mean, I think like the team, Kate, we were all sort of like, okay, this was not the plan.
Yeah. Was it because it grew? Was it because it wasn't like, what was the reason?
It was just like, it was kind of like I don't really know, because it wasn't like what was had been discussed in like the board meetings. I think it was a combination of things like, and, when you have private equity involved in your business, there's a lot of stakeholders, there's a lot of different goals, there's a lot of different opinions in the room. And like, it's not, and I personally know I would not have thrived as a CEO in that environment, which is part of the reason why I stepped down. And so it was interesting to kind of, watch. So anyway, getting into the secondary sale, I was like, oh, who could we go to? Like, whatever, what would make sense? And then basically like at that point I had met Marina. We had started Blueprint, which was our mastermind that we had started together. And I basically was like, listen, like, this is what's happening. This might be crazy, but like, what if we bought it back and like you ran it and we're the CEO? We could do Blueprint through it at scale. Like, obviously we can figure out what we want to do with the business. Like, and it all happened very fast. And she was like 100% in. Long story short, we went through the process of basically buying back the company, which is obviously like intense in many ways, and like figuring out how to, get it all done, make it right. Like, it's an intense process.
Oh, for sure. Does that look like buying back 100%, or was it a percentage amount?
So it totally depends on the deal. But like for us, it was buying back the assets. So we bought back the assets and then created a new company, like a new name, like which like doesn't matter because no one ever uses like the actual name of the business. But we basically bought back the assets. So we were starting from zero. So it was like $0 in the bank, zero, like no employees. It was like a complete hit reset on the company.
Wow.
Which was really hard because like basically we were like, okay, what do we want to do now? And it's hard because this is the company that, has millions of fans, lots of pressure, lots of expectations around it, at its height, probably 30 plus employees. And so it was basically a reset. And we were like, okay, we ended up raising some angel investment capital to get started, and kind of like, keep the momentum going. From there, we took like 6 months of just like, again, resetting everything and like, kind of figuring out what we wanted to do. Once we figured out what we wanted to do, we raised venture capital. And so we did that. And then basically from there was when we started hiring the team, and like the concept for the festival really came to life.
Huge. So that wasn't that long ago.
No, it was not that long ago. It was very fast. I mean, I would say like really we we started getting momentum, I would say like May 2024. And like the fact that we put together this festival in that period of time is crazy.
Wild. But if anyone was going to do it, it had to be you.
It's been really fun and like really, really crazy, like back to startup mode.
How did you go with selling the company initially? Because I think a lot of founders attach their identity to their business. They're like, I am Jaclyn, the founder of Create and Cultivate. That is the identity. How did you go when you were initially selling it?
Yeah, so we went through a couple sales processes. So I think I had sold my first company, so I'd been through it before. The first sales process happened in 2018, and we had like a ton of offers. It was like really exciting. We were still super small, like in the scheme of things, but there was a lot of potential. And then essentially the deal fell apart at the end of 2018, which was like really rough. But I was like, okay, that's like, I know we can do that again. And like, that's easy. And so let's just focus on building and scaling the company. So 2019 was a massive growth year for us, which was super exciting. We like ended the year with like our highest revenue, our highest EBITDA. We brought on like C-suite executives. Like there was like a real shift in the company. Q1 2020 was like unbelievable, like best quarter of our, like, we did 5 million Q1. And then COVID hit, obviously. So I think like for me, the sale process was like very bittersweet because like my dream situation for the company would have been to sell to a strategic. So like I don't know, at the time, like a Refinery 29, a Condé Nast, a Hearst, you know, something like that. And so, because I felt like we were such a good like fit into those like universes. And for me, that's exciting too, because I would like continue my career there and whatever. And mid 2020, obviously everything's like a mystery. We don't know what's happening. It feels really scary as an entrepreneur. Luckily, we were able to shift and pivot and do really well. But for me personally, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And like, if events never come back and we become this digital media company, which is like, we were like doing really well in 2020, like, I don't know if I have the energy or even the skill set to like do that. And alternatively, like, I just genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And we're a bootstrapped company, like not without a strategy and like without knowing what's going on because of the state of the world. So when we started getting offers in 2020, end of 2020 from private equity, I entertained them because of a few things. One is like the capital would give us a lot of optionality of like the future of the business. And two is like, I was very burnt out. I was like extremely, I think every entrepreneur, small business owner who had a rough time during COVID, it was like really, really hard to like bounce back and have the same energy about your business. Especially because I was like 10 plus years in already. So I think for me, that was sort of the reason behind it. And selling it was, like I said, bittersweet. I think it's challenging because I think a lot of people associate the company with me. A lot of people don't, which is fine, which I think is a good thing, which is what I really wanted, like long term. But I think it is really hard. Like, I think like you wake up, I remember waking up like, I don't know, 6 months after the sale, or like when I had no longer been CEO, and like my inbox was just like very quiet and like nothing really to do, and then you're seeing things get announced that you have no idea are happening, and you're like, oh, weird. It's
Did
like,
it feel like this internal, oh, this feels unsafe, like I should be doing something, I should be busier, I should be...
Yes and no. Like it definitely felt I was like unsettled. Like I remember the first time I went to the grocery store at like 11 in the morning, and I was like, who am I? Like, I'm the girl at the gym now at 2 p.m. Like I always wondered who that was, because I was like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. for like 10 years, just grinding it out, like working all the time, like inbox 1,000. I had 2 assistants. Like my life was just insane.
Yeah.
And so like to go from that to just silence is like very bizarre, but also I was like so ready for it in a way. I think I just was like mentally exhausted.
It's like a reset. I remember when I was going from my peak burnout phase, like every now and then I went on a little vacation, a little road trip, and there was no phone service, there was no Wi-Fi. And I said to my husband now, and I was like, I think something's wrong with my heart because it's slow. And I just realized that that was the only moment I ever felt calm.
Yeah.
In like a matter of years. So
no, totally.
Yeah. How do you stay grounded now?
Because
you probably never want to get back to that point.
Exactly. Well, I think I've like been really good at establishing boundaries now. Like, so for me, both companies I have operational CEOs. So obviously Marina and then Angeline. So for me, my roles are very specific at each company. And like, first and foremost is like, no one reports to me. Like I have no team members that report to me, which was like a stipulation I made for a few different reasons. One is like, that for me was the most challenging part of the job. And I loved my team. Like I'm still like besties with a lot of the girls, and like will be friends with them forever. But I feel like I was a really good leader, visionary, and CEO. I was like a terrible manager. And I think like that's because I just was like, I just can get it all done, and the way I operate is very fast and very quick, and like that is not great when it comes to like trying to like nurture and grow a team.
What advice would you have? Because I'm like, oops, that's me.
Yeah, that's a lot of founders.
What advice would you have for founders who are in that position, whether it is finding someone to be their Marina, or how do they do it if they don't hire someone?
Yeah, I think it's good to get some coaching and leadership training on that. I think like for me, I mean, I started my first company at 23. I had very little experience with managers. So I just... the way, and also when you're like self-funding something, you're just like always trying to get to the next paycheck, like making sure everyone can get paid. Like you're so like in that mindset that you're like, let's go, but like you don't realize like they're not like that, and most, especially like younger employees, like need nurturing and management and onboarding to be successful. And I was like just like baptism by fire. I was like, let's go, just shadow me for a day and then figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
And I like in retrospect, I was like, oh, I was not giving them the time and space, and I didn't create the hierarchy of like senior leadership to do that until later on. And then obviously it was like I was like not really involved in a lot of that stuff, and like, you know, obviously the training was really solid and we brought in a lot of those operational know-hows, which, you know, when you're growing small business, you just don't have the resources to do. But I would say like Kate Spies, who was the CEO after me, I stayed on for like 3 or 4 months, like kind of just like helping and being part of it. And I was like, oh, she's such a good manager. Like, and the way she would like interact with the team, it was just so different. She would basically like after every single event, like she would call out every single employee individually of like what they did really well on site, and like was like had these like, you know, leadership goals and like these chat, like I just felt like I never had time to be that person for people. And I did a lot of self-reflection on that after, because I was like, and I think this, because Kate is a professional CEO.
Yeah.
She was a GM before that at Well and Good. She's operated in public companies, at venture-backed companies. She knows what it's like to talk to the investors and like make sure everyone feels like good about the vision and the story. When you're like a bootstrap CEO, you're just like, how do I get the net, you know, like how do we just keep things moving and going and like doing it? So it's like, it's just such a different mentality. But it was like a masterclass. I was like, I loved learning from her, you know, in that way. And so I think it's just like, if you're in that founder mentality, it's like, you know, again, listen to some podcasts, like get some coaching. Like that didn't really exist when I was doing it. So it's like, and you know, I think that's always like a good thing to like up level in that way.
So you spoke a little bit about your difference in roles. Have you ever felt like you need to regain that control? Because I think, again, a lot of founders are like control freaks and we love to be hands in every pie. How do you manage that now? Do you kind of say, okay, my role is visionary, I'm over here, and you just have to set those mental boundaries?
Yeah, no, I like I was telling Marina this like at the beginning, because she was so funny. Like I was like, you're the CEO, like, which means you're fiscally responsible for the company, which means like the financial decisions, like that's on you, like the P&L, that's on you. Like I don't manage that anymore. And like, you know, so for me, I'm the chief brand officer. And so what I really focus on is look, feel, talent, programming, the mix, what we're naming things, calling things logos, you know, all of that kind of stuff, which I really love and enjoy. And Marina really is running the day-to-day, the team, the P&L. Obviously, like, you know, we work collaboratively on like a lot of stuff, but like it really is on her, you know, to do that. And so I think like I don't really feel like I am like, oh, I want control. I'm like, great, I love seeing her thrive and do that. I think I maybe would feel that way if I feel like she wasn't doing a good job, or like it was so different than the vision I had for the company, but we're really aligned.
How good.
And she's absolutely crushing it. And I think she's like really, she's such a autonomous person, but also a collaborative person, which I think works really well for us. You know, so I think like the first 6 months, you know, it was like a lot of questions, because it's like she's taking over a business that I ran for so long. So it's like, how did you think about this? How did you do that? And then after the 6 months, it was just like, I got it. I'm like, okay.
How good.
Yeah.
How do you, obviously you guys met at Create and Cultivate, so that's going to be great if people are looking for someone. But how do you really sense check? Because we hear the horror stories of partnerships and, you know, it going so wrong. But this is such an incredible example of how it goes right. So
people always ask me this question. And here's what I'll say. And I was like, I think I had an unfair advantage because we started the blueprint together. So basically, we started the blueprint together. I was like, you know, I'll do it. I'm into the mastermind. We'll give it a shot. And she's like, I'll run the whole business. So I was like, okay, great. And I was like, I don't know this woman, but I also have no skin in the game on this. Like, if this goes really well, amazing. If this goes really bad, fine. Like, it can go either way. So it wasn't like, it was like, oh, we're going to take over this legacy business. Like, there was so much risk involved. And so I basically got a year of experiencing her as a CEO, what it's like to work with her, how she operates, how she thinks. So it's like, I kind of got a crash course before being like, hey, I think you could do this. And I think we'd work really well together. So I got like lucky, and I don't think that's normal. But I will say, like, I think the first like 3 months is when we got out all of our like, you know, kind of tough conversations, because I've had bad business partner breakups and I understand where they come from. And it's always two things, I think. One is trust. If you like don't have it, it's just not there. And I don't just mean trust, like I trust you to do this. It's more like trusting in that you want the best for me and for the business.
Yeah.
And so that's really important. And 2 is alignment on vision and like where the company's going. And so I think we check in a lot on that, like where, you know, we want to be the vision to be going, but also like I think we've gotten to a place where it's like I just implicitly trust her, and I hope this doesn't come back and bite me in the ass on the podcast, you know, whatever, but I really don't, like I feel like I want Marina to succeed, and like I think as soon as she, because I think there's a lot of power dynamics that are like really challenging to navigate, where I was like, I've had my moment in the sun, like I've done the thing, I don't need to do it again. I mean, I love it, like I'm down to, like I obviously love those things, but like for you it's like I'm excited for you to succeed, I'm excited for you to be on stage. Like I'm in a phase of my life like where I'm like really focused on like things that light me up and like things that bring me joy and happy, and I'm not like clawing my way to figure out how I become like the next big whatever. Like I don't need that anymore. I think I'm like just at a very peaceful kind of moment.
This brings me peace just hearing that. It's so good, because I think, you know, we are fed these stories of the hustle and the burnout, and you need to hustle to succeed. And I think it's just so refreshing. Obviously, you've had your season in that as well, but it's so refreshing to hear that you're so at peace. You're traveling. You've just gotten back from Greece and Italy and just
I'm just living my life. Yeah, because I really did. And again, I say I didn't, but I was having so much fun building the company. It wasn't like it was a negative thing. It was so fun. But it was funny, like there's this TikTok the other day that like popped up, and I think it was from an article in the New Yorker or something, but it was basically like the more I heal, the less ambitious I get. And I thought it was so interesting because I was like, it's kind of true. Like I think like we just put so much value on ambition and success. And like, look, I was the most ambitious and I worked so hard and I love it. And I love building things and growing things. But I also think like oftentimes we do it at the sacrifice of something else in our lives. And like for me, that was definitely like my health, my relationships, like, you know, my personal, you know, growth. Like I just like all I did was like focus on business. And obviously it worked out in a good way. And I feel very like blessed to have the journey that I've had, and I'm so excited to still be in it and still be doing it. I'd be going crazy if I didn't. But I also think like, you know, there is like something to like taking a rest or taking a beat and like resetting in that way. Yeah,
it's so interesting because when I went through my journey from burnout and more into the flow and the ease and starting to even rewire my mind on what could it look like if I had success and rest and all of that, it was so wild. It was almost like the universe gave me the green tick, because I kid you not, I would be hustling away all week and I'm like, all right, I need a break. I need to just let go. I would walk onto the sand at the beach and like the big deals that I'd been working so hard on would come in. And so I always joked with my team that anytime I go to the beach or anytime I travel, I actually make the most money, and it just kind of flows. It sounds so illogical and so backwards, but it is so true. I think it's almost just...
Yeah, I think I operated for a long time of like, if I go to Pilates, then I'm gonna miss the emails. I'm gonna be so behind. It's like, if I do the thing, it's like, it's like the world does not end if you go on the vacation, if you do the thing. And I think that's like important. I didn't learn that until like very, very too far into the journey. And so I think for me, it's like interesting because I definitely was not operating in that space of like, oh, it'll be good if I do this. It's like actually every time I went on vacation, I'm like, someone quit, or like, we got hacked, or like, I was like, I felt like every time I went on vacation, it was like the world did end. So I don't know, like maybe that would just work for you.
Yeah, well, I have definitely had those vacations, and I think for me it was just switching of my own mindset. Like regulating my own nervous system and tapping into that a lot more. Because I definitely had those stressful times. I used to try and go to yoga because I was like, I hear yoga's meant to be relaxing. But every time I went, I was like, oh, my phone's outside. I just really need to check my phone. And it would create more anxiety. And then I'm like, this is worse. And
that's how worse. I think I was. I think I was similar.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we can relate. I want to know, what is an unapologetic brag that you have lately? Because I feel like as women, we kind of downplay our wins. We're out there crushing it, but I feel like men are out there almost bragging and women kind of downplay the wins. So I would love to hear, what is a unapologetic brag
an
you have?
unapologetic brag. I mean, I guess my big brag right now would be like, I'm so excited because I get to interview Janae Aiko.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like Marina and I are such dorks, but we're so excited for Dochi. We get to like introduce her and like all that stuff. So I feel like that's like such a big deal and like so exciting. And sometimes it's like I forget because it's like, you know, my job in a way to like I get to interview really big names and things like that. But it's like I'm so proud that we have like Sierra, Aisha Curry. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that we've been like announcing, and there's still more people we're announcing, which is just crazy. So I think like that would be my unapologetic brag.
Huge. I'm so excited. How does it feel when you kind of step onto stage and you're interviewing these people and you look around and you're like, these 2,000 people are here because one day you had an idea?
It's so weird. It's like an out-of-body experience. I mean, I'm sure you feel similarly, but like, yeah, it's like sometimes I like have to pinch myself just because if it's really weird when you build something that lives beyond yourself. You know what I mean? Like, so you're like, this is something that people, whether they know who I am or not, like come to and like have this amazing experience or like meet their future business partner or learn something that they never thought they were going to learn. And like, it's just so amazing to watch. And so I'm really excited. And obviously I think it has taken on a different meaning having a business partner now in Marina. Like I think previously I was like feeling alone a lot of the time, which is still amazing, but you're like still like I'm exhausted. And like there's no one in it with you.
I know.
To the extent I should say that you are. And so it's exciting to be in it with someone else.
So good. Sometimes it feels like you're in a bubble. And you're like, I don't understand if this just happened or not. I remember when I wrote my book and released it last year, and I was going into all the bookstores by myself and I was on tour by myself. And one moment, one of my girlfriends actually in one of the cities came to one of the stores with me, and I walked in the store and I just started crying because it's a whole different feeling when someone's almost witnessing it with you or feeling the emotion or celebrating you. And it's like, oh, wait, it wasn't just a dream in my night.
Yeah, totally. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay, final question.
Yes.
What does unstoppable mean to you?
I think unstoppable means like you have drive, like that consistent drive to keep going. And I think like I remember one time one of my employees was like, you have an unnerving amount of drive. And I remember just like that like sentence sticking with me. And I was like drive is something undefinable. Like unstoppable feels like undefinable because you're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But the reality is it's like, it's almost like you can't define it. You have to see it in action, and like that like ability to just keep going when things get hard, I think is what makes you successful.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing all of your incredible wisdom. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah. I'll see you next week.
See you soon.